Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Checks and Balances TV. Today's program is entitled Columbus Day to Today, How Retirement Has Changed Since 1492. But first, let's see how today's news may impact your financial future. Despite the fact that many Americans are spending less and saving more since the recession began in 2008, most people are still not saving enough money for retirement. According to a recent study conducted by Finesse, a leading provider of financial education programs, more than half of all pre-retirees between the ages of 55 and 64 have never run a retirement income projection report to find out how much money they will need to live comfortably during their retirement years. This lack of preparation is another example of the serious financial problems millions of Americans will face as they move closer to an ever-changing retirement landscape. With the likelihood of inadequate retirement savings, coupled with the uncertainty of company pension plans and Social Security, millions of retirees may find themselves with insufficient income in retirement. Okay, so what's really going on here? Let's check the facts using our checks and balances process. In Financial Finesse's 2010 Year in Review, they reported that 82% of employees are paying their bills on time and 51% are paying off their credit card balances in full. That's the good news from a company that provides financial education programs to over 500,000 employees from more than 300 corporations, municipalities, and credit unions across the country. However, the bad news, according to their newest study released September 14th of this year, is that only 14% of those employees were on target to reach their retirement income goals. They also reported that nearly 4 out of 5 Americans have still not determined how much money they will need to have saved to afford the retirement they were hoping and dreaming for. Without proper financial planning and implementation, the age that people will be able to retire will continue to rise. The Employee Benefit Research Institute discussed this very topic during their 68th Policy Forum held in Washington, D.C. on May 12th. The theme for this conference was, "Is there a future for retirement?" EBRI's discussions focused on baby boomers and Generation Xers, many of whom would not have adequate income to cover their basic retirement expenses and uninsured medical costs, even if they delayed retirement until they were past the age of 65. According to the Institute's research director, Jack Vanderhei, continuing to participate in a defined contribution plan like a 401k past age 65 can make at least a 10 percentage point difference in determining whether or not an individual has adequate retirement savings. And of course, a 10% increase in your nest egg can go a long way in making your money last in retirement. Okay, so now that we've checked the facts, let's balance this news using our checks and balances process to determine what action you should take today. The biggest issue facing pre-retirees today is uncertainty. This uncertainty may be due to fear that their pension may not be there when they retire, or that Social Security benefits will be reduced, or having lost so much money in the stock market recently that they will not have enough savings to get them through their retirement years. Whatever the reason, those approaching retirement are losing confidence in their ability to afford a comfortable retirement. The landscape for retirement has significantly changed since the creation of Social Security over 75 years ago. Before that time, retirement in this country was widely seen as a means of getting aging factory workers out of the workforce. However, it wasn't until the government instituted the Social Security program in 1935 that offered these older workers a financial benefit to retire in the form of a monthly Social Security check. Company-based pensions became popular in the U.S. during the 1940s. Companies became creative with employee compensation and started funding defined benefit plans. Company pensions, however, have come under a lot of scrutiny recently, as some plans have become too expensive for companies to maintain, and many are now underfunded. For example, the U.S. Postal Service has a deficit of $9.2 billion and owes $5.5 billion more just to fund future retirees' health benefits. Unfortunately, they will not be able to pay these liabilities without some major financial restructuring of both the Postal Service itself as well as their health care plan and retirement system. Okay, so what's the bottom line here? Raising the retirement age is one solution being discussed by Congress right now to solve the problem of rising Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid costs. The average life expectancy in 1935, when Social Security was established, was just 65 years. As of 2010, last year, it's 78.3 years. In addition, pensions and other employee benefit programs have become much too expensive to maintain for many companies, so benefits will have to be cut. The changing financial landscape of retirement is forcing people to take more responsibility for their financial future. Retirement, at least as we've known it in years past, has officially retired. And now, unless you take matters into your own hands, the future of your retirement remains unknown. And nobody wants to revert back to the industrial age when people literally worked until they died. While many Americans have relied on the government or their employer in the past, the only one you can truly count on to fund your retirement is going to be you. And now for Matt's weekly financial tip, tool, or technique. The future of retirement for most Americans remains uncertain. And with the extreme volatility of the stock market over the past 3 years, investors really don't know if they should sell, buy, hold, and don't look, or just plan on working until they're 80. So here are 4 financial planning tips to keep you focused on your long-term retirement goals, no matter what the future or the stock market may bring. Tip number 1, proceed with caution. If you're nearing retirement, be extra careful that your investments are in line with your retirement timeline. For many of you, adjusting your investments should be a top priority to ensure you will have the best probability of retiring when you planned on it and living the lifestyle you're dreaming of. Tip number 2, draw a line in the sand. Decide how much money you're willing to lose before you make a change to your investments. For example, let's say you have $500,000 invested in the stock market, and you know you'd want to make a change to your portfolio if your accounts lose 15% or $75,000. Well, if you work with an advisor, make sure they know your pain threshold. If you happen to manage your own investments, monitor your accounts online a few times each week to be sure you can act quickly if needed. Tip number 3, get professional advice. If you manage your own investments yourself, or if you're like many workers today who have the bulk of their investments in their company's 401k or 403b plan, you are really not receiving any personalized investment or retirement advice. Seriously consider reaching out to a financial advisor or professional who can help you. As a matter of fact, find someone who has a Series 65 or 66 securities license who can review your investments and will take into consideration your risk tolerance and goals. They can then provide you with a comprehensive financial plan for a one-time fee. And tip number 4, don't make hasty changes. If you're unsure what changes to make to your investment portfolio, consider taking a small portion of your market holdings, like 10 or 20%, and put it into cash until you can obtain investment advice and make a sound financial decision. Since the future is so unpredictable, the best way to protect yourself and your assets from continued market volatility is to have a solid financial plan and stick to it with safety measures in place. Following these tips can help you roll with the changes, whatever they may be, and preserve your retirement savings for years to come. Be sure to log on to our website and download our free report, The Truth About Retirement. It's a free report that will help point you in the right direction towards creating the most successful retirement plan possible. And finally, remember that only you can control your financial future. You can succeed. You just need confidence and determination. I'm Matthew J. Reddick from Checks and Balances TV. Until next week, dump debt, invest wisely, believe in yourself, and make it happen.